What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my Forma building guide for Tokyo Mirage Session Revival Hall of Forms. The good news is that we are going to be able to merge up older Forma units into a newer Forma unit, which means that if you got a Kiria or like Tsubasa Forma unit when this originally ran, then you can pretty much merge up your older Forma unit into this newer one, which you can get with the updated skills and also transfer your merges. Keep in mind that you're only going to be able to merge up 2 units if they have the same blue border and both of them are Forma units. So this has been explicitly stated by FEH, which is a pretty great news. This Hall of Forms is going to be happening on 10th of October, which is going to be after the version update. So Geralt is going to be the latest rail unit, which means that this Hall of Forms is going to be having 10 new skills added to it, including the very coveted Choose Your Legends 6 skills like attack resistance finish, the clash skill, and also attack resistance tempo from Legendary Deidra. So let us begin with Tsubasa, who's going to be the star of this batch because she mainly holds out a lot better than a lot of the units in this batch with her weapon. So Mirage Feather is Tsubasa's preferred weapon, which is effective on armored units and cavalry units. So that is one of the main reasons why it can still hold up well, because she can still take out a lot of the newer armor units and cavalry units because of this effective damage with the right premium skills that you can run on her. So this weapon does give you +6 attack and speed and pretty much the dive bomb effect if an ally has already acted before Tsubasa. And this is not the hardest thing to do, but it is going to be a bit annoying if you're going to be trying to initiate with her, but still this is going to be able to be worked out and you can still take out a lot of units. I've used Tsubasa quite a bit actually in Arena Assault, and she has always been a pretty helpful unit, and she is a Gen 4 unit, which means that she's going to be getting a refine in like maybe a year or so. So that is definitely going to be quite a bit of waiting time until, these Tokyo Mirage Session units get the refines. But still Tsubasa holds up the best out of this entire batch, I would say, because of this weapon. But you can definitely give her some really new and premium skills. So this is going to be basically her best build which you can run on her. So you can run attack speed catch force so that you can maximize your offenses, and that is really important to kill a lot of the modern armors and cavalry units, especially because many of the cavalry units do have like damage reduction stuff nowadays, so that is going to be helpful. And flow force is not the most common skill to be used on a lot of units, but for Tsubasa it is going to be a really good option because it gives you the half null follow up, which means that you can still double a lot of armor units which have follow-up negation, and it also provides you with the attack and speed debuff neutralization. So even if she gets affected by any of the debuffs on her offenses, she's not going to be bothered by that, and that is going to be the main thing for her because she's mainly going to be functioning in the player phase and just killing the cavalry and armor units, so that is a really good effect. Most of the time Flow Guard is the preferred skill, but because Tsubasa does have that conditional desperation, or I guess the dive bomb effect in her weapon, Flow Guard doesn't really help you too much unless you're going to be facing units with like defensive specials like godlike reflexes or something like that. So in that case Flow Guard could help, but Flow Force is generally going to be helping you against the debuffs. You can also run the Nia Trace, but Flow Force is going to be a lot more rare skill and actually makes her a lot more self-sufficient because she can double a lot more modern armor units which have follow-up negation. Like for example Arcane Eleuthir, which a lot of sword armors can run. They have the follow-up negation, and if they have a lot of stats and support, then they can easily live one hit from Tsubasa. But with the Flow Force, you're still going to be able to double them. For her slots, you can run Attack Speed Oath for, which does give you extra offenses, the visible buff to your attack and speed, and also the ability to teleport. So this is going to be a really solid skill, and even if you get debuffed because of the visible buffs or get panicked, then Flow Force is going to be having your back with its debuff neutralization. You can always run Speed Defense Rain or a Menace skill, but I do like Oath Force skill a lot more honestly because of its teleportation and the extra offenses that you can also get. But if you just want the consistent debuffs, then Rain skill is going to be the option. And if you are not able to get the Oath or Rain skill, then pretty much Attack Speed Menace or Attack Defense Menace are going to be your options. So this is the main build which I would recommend to a lot of people who are trying to get Tsubasa. This is going to be helping you the most with a lot of the matchups. Now if you're a big fan of Tsubasa and if you would like to, maybe get some other skills, then you can definitely try and get Attack Speed Clash 4. And this is going to be helpful when you run her with Legendary Azura or Harmonic Azura. And this is pretty much going to be able to give you the debuff neutralization in your slot A. So you don't really need Flow Force for that, but still you would need some kind of external null follow-up support so that you can still double a lot of the follow-up negation unit. And this is pretty much an alternate build if you think that her Refine is going to be having half null follow-up built into it, which is going to be a bit redundant with the flow skill. But you could even get Kanto, and then it is going to be redundant with the near tray skill. So it is always going to be a gamble with these kinds of units who are going to be getting refined in the future. Still an option for max investment Tsubasa, depending on what kind of refine you think she'll be getting. I just wanted to go over it, but personally I'm definitely going to be trying to get the Flow Force build so that she can be self-sufficient. And now let's move on to the second unit of this batch, which is going to be Kiria. So she is a red infantry mage, and we definitely had quite a bit of competition in that regard. We have Fallen Julia, we have Fallen Male Morgan, and we have some really strong nukes. So unfortunately, Kiria's weapon Mirage Rod doesn't really hold up well because it just gives her +3 attack, and it just has the attack resistance rain built into it. So that's pretty much it. I mean, you can support your allies with it, but it doesn't really help Kiria too much in the combat. So Kiria is definitely going to be waiting for her weapon refine, or maybe some arcane weapon like arcane red tome that you can have access to. So that is going to be helping you. The good thing for Kiria is that in this batch, you're going to be able to get the finish skill and also the tempo skill. So these are some of the premium skills which are really hard to get. And I would really suggest getting Unity Blooms Plus so that you can just have better combat. It does give you the in-combat debuffs. It doesn't really have the Daunt effect of her default weapon, but still it does have better combat because it does give you the healing, so that is going to be nice, especially with the finish skill, so you can be a lot more self-sufficient. And attack resistance finish is a pretty stacked premium skill, and it will be having good synergy with the tempo skill so that you can, just get the special off and get the extra damage and also the healing. Not to mention if we get an arcane red tome, which is kind of similar to Arcane Lutnier, with at least its -1 special cooldown, then this is definitely going to be really helpful for getting the extra damage output and the self-sufficiency. Attack resistance tempo is going to be the best lobby skill that you can pick up because it is a pretty nice option to the lull attack resistance that she already comes with. Unfortunately, the slow mages don't really have too many options, and she's still going to be relying on quick riposte for the follow-up in the enemy phase. So this is going to be a good option, which is going to be helping you against the guard effect. And Attack Smoke 4 is generally going to be the better option for a lot of slow units and for also tanking because it can give you the visible buffs. So that is going to be helping you overall. So this is the main Kiria build. But if you're going to be building her up to the max investment, then you can try and run Close Reversal, I guess. So the melee matchups for a lot of mages are going to be really hard because we have a lot hard-hitting melee nukes. So specialization is really nice on a lot of these mages instead of trying to, also trying to attack the melee units. So if you have a max investment Kiria or you plan to go for the max investment, then Close Reversal could be an option. But personally, I definitely like the specialization a lot more. And you also have some other alternate options like Attack Resistance Unity, which can give you the debuff neutralization, and also Attack Resistance Ideal, which just gives you the most attack and resistance. Eleanora is a colorless bow infantry unit with Mirage Longbow as her preferred weapon. So this gives her the +3 speed, and it also has a conditional Firesweep effect built into it. So if she's got more speed than the opponent, then she simply gets that Firesweep effect. So there's definitely quite a bit of competition when it comes to the colorless archer nukes. We also have Legendary Alm with this amazing weapon refine and remix who can just shred through a lot of the safe tanks, which Eleanora is definitely going to be struggling against, but still, she can function with this weapon and also with Whitecap Bow Plus, which bow units now have access to. And a good offensive arcane bow or her weapon refine is definitely going to be helping her a lot, and it is going to be doubling down on the conditional Firesweep effect, which is going to be making her a pretty safe unit to initiate against a lot of the units as long as she can meet the speed check. So since speed check is going to be the thing, you can just run Attack Speed Ideal to get the most offenses to meet the speed check. And for her weapon, Whitecap Bow Plus is pretty much going to be the best archer option that you can try and get for the quad attacks. So if you want to switch up from the Firesweep effect to the quad attacking brave weapon, then Whitecap Bow Plus is the option. This also has the speed check, so Attack Speed Ideal does help you with that. And Attack Speed Unity can also be an option, which is especially pretty nice with the Oath Force skill, with its synergy with the teleportation and also protecting you from the debuffs. And Tempo is going to be a rare skill and also good for a lot of archers. So here you can run that over running Null Follow-Up. Overall, she does appreciate the Null Follow-Up support, but it's a lot easier skill to get from the Divine Codes and so many units compared to the Tempo skill. So I would definitely recommend this, and this can definitely help you just trigger your specials without really getting bothered by the guard effect. And for slots, the attack speed Oath 4 is going to be the best option here so that you can get the teleportation, the offensive buffs, and it does have good synergy with the ideal skill so that you can get the visible buff and the maximum offenses right off the bat. You can also run Time Pulse as this is going to be a pretty nice option with Deadeye, but honestly I like attack speed Oath 4 quite a bit because of its offensive nature and how it can also enable the teleportation. As you can see, overall it's a pretty fantastic skill which you can also try and get on Ellie. And the final unit for this batch is going to be Mamori. So she is an axe armor, and when it comes to armor units, there is stacked competition, especially when it comes to axe armors after the refine of Brave Edelgard. So Brave Edelgard is a fantastic save tank, honestly. She does have a bit more different weapon with Mirage Axe, providing her the +6 defense and resistance in combat, and also the follow-up negation. But you know, Brave Edelgard just has the guard effect, a ton of stats, the -1 special cooldown, and also the healing. So Mamori is definitely going to be facing competition, but in the future when she gets a good weapon refine or a good arcane weapon, I suppose she can definitely be useful if you're a big fan of her. She definitely needs a lot of premium skills, honestly, and for armor units like her, save tanking is pretty much going to be the option. She still has pretty good bulk, which is kind of min-maxed, so you can make use of that so that you can run a near safe build, and you can run Seahorse Axe, which does give you the automatic follow-up, which is definitely pretty nice because it frees you up from running Crafty Fighter or like Wily Fighter or any of those fighter skills for the follow-up. So I definitely like that weapon, especially in conjunction with Hardy Fighter. So even though you're going to be getting the Hardy Fighter and you're going to be running a damage reduction skill like a Scoutian, I would still recommend getting Ruptured Sky just as a premium option. And for Slotty, getting the guard effect out of Sturdy Stance is going to be pretty amazing, but you can also try and mix up the options with like Close Defense 4 or Attack Defense Unity, so those are going to be the options. And Hardy Fighter is an extremely useful skill so that you can have the damage reduction out of a Scoutian. And not a lot of melee threats are going to be able to pierce through the damage reduction. Like Legendary Nana is pretty much the only one. So outside of her, she's going to be able to make use of the damage reduction and tank a lot of the melee threats a lot better. But keep in mind that someone as new and as meta as Brave Seliph is still going to be able to kill her even if she triggers her Escutcheon twice in a single round of combat. So that is definitely going to be a bit annoying, but yeah, this is definitely an option so that she can be a lot more bulky, and then just get the near safe skill on her as you're going to be using her for the melee matchups. Now, if you're a competitive player that is just looking for some far safe tanks for Summoner Duels S, then this build is for you. Again, would not recommend this build unless you play in Summoner Duels S. So this is a build mainly geared for survival because the metagame in Summoner Duels is a lot more different. Survival matters the most so that you don't lose your far safe tank and you're able to push your advantage state. But unfortunately for Mamori, she is a green unit, so she's going to be susceptible to one of the biggest threats there in Duochrome. And even after running Hardy Fighter with Sacred Cowl and like Sylvalan Shield, she is still going to be dying. I did calc that beforehand, so that is definitely a matchup that you have to watch out for, and you can even easily ban Duochrome in Summoner Duels S. Distant Defense 4 is going to be an amazing skill with a far safe build so that you can have a pretty nice effect against a lot of the visible buffs, Rallying Cry Captain skill, and especially against the Duo Dagger matchup. But if you want to have the guard effect, then Bracing Stance could also be the option. And with this kind of far safe build, you want to focus on your defenses. So defense resistance far safe is going to be a lot more optimal than like attack resistance far save. So it is going to be helping you in the survival in some of the matchups. And Deflect Missile or Deflect Magic are going to be her sacred seals to choose from. So you basically run Hardy Fighter with Sacred Cowl so that you can have that damage reduction special so that you don't really get shredded by lethality or Deadeye. Except for Duochrome. Duochrome definitely shreds her through that Hardy Fighter. And just to give you an example, here is a +10 merge Duo Dagger and +10 merge Yuri. So as you can see, Mamori is able to survive both of them and a lot better against Duo Dagger because of Distant Defense 4. So this is going to be helping you in Summoner Duels S if you don't really have too many far safe units. I wouldn't really say here that you should be prioritizing her too much because of being a green armor with a rather old weapon. But if you're missing far safe tanks, then she could be the option, and it doesn't seem like we get too often of these armor units. Like after Valentine Rudolph, this is the next armor unit that we've got, so it could be an option if you're missing some of the far safe tanks, as it can definitely help you with the playstyle. And with this kind of build, she can definitely handle a lot of these kinds of common and top tier threats. The next Hall of Forms revivals are going to be based on the Twitter voting, similar to how the Forging Bonds get their rerun. So you can definitely follow FEH's official Twitter account if you want to be up to date with that. And since they have rerun the Tokyo Mirage Session Hall of Forms, if they follow that order, then these are going to be the next 4 options for the voting. I hope that it could work like Forging Bonds voting and only the loser of the batch kind of gets the kick out and the others can still remain in the voting. But I'm not really too sure if Tokyo Mirage Session Revival happened because that game doesn't have, a lot of units in FE, or if they're starting their revival from that order onwards. Definitely will be worth noting as we get to know more about the info, but I guess this is just my speculation, so you can still take it with a grain of salt and still, I guess, use this for planning if they go this route. At the moment of making this video, I'm not sure when the Path of Radiance Hall of Forms is going to be happening, if it's going to be happening in the October itself or it's going to be happening in the November. But I feel like these are going to be the most likely options because Path of Radiance has not too many eligible options, especially with the way they run the units now. So it's either going to be Valentine, Titania, or Ileana as the mage option, as they always have some kind of magical damage source either through a dragon or a mage in these. And Astrid might seem a bit recent, but keep in mind that young Minerva got into Hall of Forms only 299 days after her release. And at the point of getting this kind of Path of Radiance Hall of Forms, Astrid is definitely going to be having more days, so she could be an option, especially because she appears in the Divine Codes. I guess we'll see if we get 2 Hall of Forms in the same month or not. I'll definitely be updating that on my Twitter, and I guess we are just going to be seeing that in the announcement board itself. So I hope you all enjoyed my Forma building guide. Make sure to share this video with your friends who are trying to build up any of these units with the updated skills. We definitely have some nice options. And if you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment, helped me tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks or by becoming a YouTube member down below. And for more FE analysis videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes show my videos as many times as the amount of Tokyo Mirage Session banners we had in this game. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.